TV is low.
Oh, well, actually, we're live right now, just so you know. Yeah, I don't hear no TV, though, just so you know, right?
Okay, great. Oh,
It's up
great.
to you, but you can turn it off if you want. Yeah, if you just want to take a
Yeah,
second.
for sure.
We got
Let's,
4 people, just so you know, folks. That's probably your friends right there. This is going to be a good one, folks. I've been talking to this guy behind the scenes, and I like what I see so far. So thanks for tuning in. And
awesome. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my gosh. I'm
all right,
so
so go ahead.
nervous.
Why don't you introduce yourself? Go ahead.
Hi, everyone. My name is Steven Valle, and I am running for mayor of New York City, one of the best and greatest cities on the planet Earth. Let's give it to New York City and the amazing New Yorkers that live here. And I'm running for mayor, man. And I'm so excited. I'm a little nervous. And I just want to say, I'm not a professional politician. I'm a native New Yorker who takes the subway like you do, who goes through the struggles of being a New Yorker, and of course, who's been through things that have plagued our city, like the COVID-19, and so many others, like 9/11 and other things. So, yes, seeing that. Hello, everyone.
I'm glad you're here. I love this guy's energy, just so you know. I think we're scheduled for like around Jan 19 or Jan 15. It's right around there. We're actually scheduling for a discussion panel about this fare hikes, because right around in January of 2025, there's scheduled to be a fare hike for the MTA. So actually, that's going to be in the news. We're going to have mayoral candidates talking about it, and it's going to help the candidates and, have a real discussion. Sometimes the more established candidates are like afraid to say certain things, but not here. Okay, we're ready to say everything.
That's right.
Right? That's right. And one thing that I really like about this guy, just quick question, right? You seem a little bit young, which is cool.
Thank you.
I think that the older generation, I really get pissed off when they say bad things about the young generation, because honestly, who raised the young generation? Okay, like, come on, you know what I mean? It's who's responsible? It's got to be you, right? So, we got to help the youth, not blame them. Right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
But this guy isn't so young, but he's not so old either. How old are you? Just off the top of the head.
So, guys, I am 30 years old, and whew, it's been a journey,
And honestly, young people, they know about computers, right? AI is going to be playing a huge, possible, even a threatening role. It's going to be used in security. It's going to be used for all kinds of things. Someone who has a native proficiency with, just today's world is really vital. So I'm sorry, I'm going to shut up right now. But the first thing,
you're perfect. I love it.
Just to start off, just to let my audience know, I ask all the questions that are the same, right, of the candidates. So the first thing I usually ask is, what kind of started you on this political path or activism, or what was your awakening, and what's the first thing you did?
Well, literally, DJ Elf, it was literally me waking up, okay? And at the time, I actually did a whole series of videos. And it was waking up being that New Yorker who's struggling with the other New Yorkers. And it was seeing just everything that's happening with the migrant crisis, everything that's kind of happening with just the mental health right now, the education system. Education seems so far out of reach, but what seems more further out of reach is mental health. Okay, we have a lot of New Yorkers who are coming from this COVID pandemic, if you will, and not knowing where to go after that. I mean, because we have some amazing people pre-COVID that are now currently either homeless or are going through addiction very severely, or mental issues. They lost people. And it's like, how do you really deal with these problems that we are now facing? Because let me be honest, before COVID, oh my God, it was so amazing. I'm actually a pilot, guys. Shout out to Vaughn College for Aeronautics. Woo! And you got to see a lot of us student pilots. Our school had just stopped from literally from one day to the next. I got accepted into so many different internships and programs that just stopped. And so once that happened, it stalled me out, literally stalled. And that literally, so stalling means when an airplane just kind of just drops, right? And that's what it felt like to me. It felt like I was literally stalling in life. And now I'm here running for mayor. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to complete it. My school actually started doing in person last fall, right? Which is not so long ago. And another thing that you saw a lot of these student pilots do, or anybody who is studying aeronautics, they took the choice to learn from home. I apologize. There's $28,000 per semester. So I am not gonna learn how to fly an airplane from my home. Okay, that is not going to happen. And I need to be there in school. That way I can get the best training that I can get. And that way I can make sure that I'm learning everything that I can get from about aeronautics. You know, it's so important, especially living in New York. So, yeah.
Well, that's very interesting. I'm glad to learn about that, right? All right, so the next question is some people say they have like a political ideology. We know that AOC, she says she's a socialist. Some people say they're conservatives or liberals, or there's all kinds of other definitions out there. What do you have any particular ideology you claim?
So, if you paid attention to the campaign finance board, is that I switched a few times, right? So first I started off as independent, then I went to Republican, and from Republican, Democrat, from Democrat, now I'm back to independent, guys. And it was just all of the worrisome of I don't want to be related to somebody who's in this party. I think, New York's had to struggle with this election. And the reason why I say that is because both sides are very radical. I mean, it's very radical and it's during a radical time. However, I really do enjoy Trump's rulings, and he does make economy run, which is great. But it is not just about the economy, and it's about helping the people. Everybody, economy, economy, economy. Yeah, but what about mental health? What about health? Okay, we have money, but we don't have good health. We don't get. Let's forget the mental health for a second. We don't have good health. Why not? Well, look at our New York City Housing Authority, right? Are we testing these buildings to make sure that our youth who's growing up and breathing in these apartments, are they okay? Are we sure that there's no lead in there? And one thing you got to see is that we see corruption in our city. Okay, it's not plainly ringing corruption, but this is a one-party city, mostly Democrats. So Democrats are handing the paper to the next Democrat, and let me tell you, while they're doing it, they don't want to embarrass the next Democrat. So I think we also need transparency on this one-party city. Okay, I love the Republicans. I love the Democrats. I love the independent. It's not about Republican and Democrat. Listen, I grew up in the housing projects. You hear what I'm saying? So I remember leaving my building one time, going to work, and seeing brain matter on the floor. So a lot of these first off, shout out to all the candidates out there. Shout out to all of them. I'm a native New Yorker, and I know what the struggle is. I know what the struggle is of being a New Yorker and trying to strive for the best you can. Okay. And in saying that, you got to have a candidate who takes the subway with you and who knows how it feels. And, unfortunately, I've been traumatized in the city. And I want to prevent that from happening to our youth. And once we help our youth out, especially with education and counseling within the education system, sometimes nowadays they only select a few. Oh, you. No, everybody needs it. We're all coming from COVID, staying in the house by ourselves. And who knows what everybody was thinking. We really need mental health involved in our education system, because we can stop it at the door. We'll save the justice system before they ever have to deal with the justice system. And let me just talk a little bit. You talked about paying the fare, right? Now,
paying the fare. Oh, okay. We had talked about that earlier, but just before we switch the subjects, I want to say right quick.
Sorry.
I loved a lot of your answers. I think they made a lot of sense. So the original question was, right? Yeah. How would you define yourself ideologically? And you said like you're a New Yorker. I like that a lot. Now, you said that you actually jumped parties. Just so you know, I work with all the parties: Independents, Greens, Libertarians, Republicans. So it's funny, we have actually a very similar journey there. But the thing is that really, once again, right? You said like you left the party because some people like were, you weren't happy with, and I totally get that. There's people in all the parties that I'm unhappy with, big time. But just so you know, actually, I'm the elf. I work with the little people, and I say, trust the people that be with you, not the ones that they give you. Right now, I'm not saying like for the people that love Trump, right? A lot of them work with me closely, and I love them to death. But it's really my relationship with people that I work with, people like yourself, right? That will always be prioritized over Trump, over Kamala, right? Because they never meet with me. I'm not saying right that I would love to meet with them, but until the day they have time to meet with me, right? Yeah, whoever meets with me is a priority, and it's not a diss to them. You understand? So right now, you're always welcome in my circle. You know what I mean? I
Thank
just work
you.
with people in
Thank
need.
you.
So, yeah. So now, you said we were talking about right now, checking about the subway actually fare is set to increase in mid-January. So we're actually going to have a discussion panel, and I would love once again for we're going to have other candidates. We're going to have mayoral debates on all kinds of issues, school reform. Let's get to it. So we're just going to proceed on with this interview. Appreciate it though. Yeah. So the next
Awesome. I
question,
love it.
yeah. So the next question after the ideology is, do you have someone that influenced you like politically or leadership wise? And
Yeah, man.
who's that?
Yeah. Let me
It could be a
talk
couple
about
people.
it. Because they have literally done so much for New Yorkers like myself who come from the low income
Wait,
aspect.
who's that? Who's that? I missed the name. Who's inspiring?
Mario, you guessed it, Mario
Mario
Cuomo.
Cuomo?
I love
Okay,
him.
all right.
I mean, he literally has done so much for us as New Yorkers when it comes to affordable housing. When
Wait,
it
he's
comes,
before your time. So you study about him or something?
oh yeah,
Yeah,
I
he's before your
studied
time.
him. I watched his speeches when he talked
Okay.
about the city on the shining hill, and you know, and just a lot of the laws that he passed, even with the Polytechnic School down in J Street in Brooklyn, he gave our youth, really not even our youth, but our going into adult, he really gave them a polytechnics. You know, that's not easy coming from the hood. And my parents met in that area, downtown Brooklyn, Fort Greene. Shout out to Fort Greene. Hi, Dad, Mom. Are you watching?
All the cool people are there. That's
All
what
the
I have to
cool
say. All
people.
the cool people are there. What's up?
Yo, it's
Shout out to Fort
amazing. And my grandma, she still lives there. Love you, grandma. And she's one of those older people who are living in NYC, and it's just not the best situation for her. And still have all the old fittings, no renovations going on or anything like that. And it's pretty scary. The people are lovely there, and no complaints about them. And so,
Okay,
yes.
so you said Mario Cuomo, and that's actually intelligent. That's actually a rare choice, right? Yeah, but I really I like that answer. Can you also help to explain like what qualities about him do you think were like worthy of you know maybe emulating? Like why is he someone who's inspiring?
Well, again, I'm going to go back to housing and what he did for housing. There was a couple of programs that he did
Okay.
where it actually helped me, and I'm like, who created this idea? What bill? Who passed this bill for me to be able to be okay in my city? And it was Mario Cuomo a few different times.
Wait
And
a second. Have you ever been at the welfare office? Right? Yeah. And they give the
hell
speech
yeah!
about how they put people on workfare because of Bill Clinton.
Oh,
Do they still give that speech? Do they still give the speech and implicate Bill Clinton? Because they did that. I've been to the welfare office several times. Every time I went there, they always shouted out Bill Clinton. They're like, "This is why you have workfare."
yeah. You know, and
Yeah,
it's crazy because I love how you speak about Bill Clinton, because Bill Clinton, and this is why us as going into politics, we got to be so careful, is because I don't really know so much about Bill Clinton except for like one thing, you know, and that is usually, you know, unfortunately, this happened to him. I'm sorry, you know. Then I know about his wife, you know, and she keeps hot sauce in her pocketbook. That I mean,
oh my goodness.
This is what I know about these people. Isn't
Oh
it?
my goodness. Hey, it's true. It's true. You're absolutely right.
You know, I put hot sauce in my bag.
Either way, she still has power out here. Just so you know, I bumped into people. It's not really been a good scene for me, but I'm still alive, thank God. Anyways, let's move it on. All right. So we got who you're inspired by. Now the thing is that if there's people who come here to this show with different levels of doing stuff in the political game. Some of us are old timers that ran a bunch of times. Some people are newer. You're not so young, right? You have done some cool things we talked about before we started. Why don't you share with us some of what you've what are you most proud of accomplishing?
Oh my goodness. I'm so proud of Adventure Holdings. This is my company that I have, and it led me to actually run for mayor, believe it or not.
Okay, cool.
And you know,
What's it all about? I want to know.
so Adventure Holdings, so we basically first started out, it's basically a holdings company. So I made Von Del Val Productions. Von Del Val Productions, I started out in a very awesome high school. Shout out School for Classics and Academy for Thinkers, Writers, and Performers in East New York, in the IS 218 building. And this is the hood, mind you, this is the hood. So I got to learn all about theater, right? And with New Perspectives Theater Company, which is phenomenal. The Moth Company, which helps us to tell stories that we've been through. And I got to learn myself. And this is why I stand really big on education, is because if it wasn't for the values that I learned there, I wouldn't even be here talking to you. I wouldn't have a lot of stuff here, because most of the money that I make is off of my production.
Okay, I want to ask something right quick. I just saw, like, is that a yarmulke on you?
This is a yarmulke.
Okay. Explain to me, you're not like most Jewish people would like see, like, usually they think of white people as Jewish, or they may look, but I have heard of Ethiopian Jews, right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's just interesting. What is that?
So here's the thing. So we have a Jewish community here in New York that's very large. Thank God, Baruch Hashem, great for them. And it's an amazing community. And mostly they're Ashkenaz, which means basically like a Caucasian, European, Eastern European, Russian kind of background. And they mostly came here, and they were able to really establish many more values of Jewish values here. You ask a lot of people, what is the most holiest city? A lot of Jews, what is the most holy city? Guess what they're going to tell you. Just take a guess.
Jerusalem?
Brooklyn.
Okay.
Isn't that something?
Possible. Anything's possible.
Anything is possible. And you know what? I happen to believe that. So we see only this one diaspora of Jewish people, which is Eastern European. However, Ethiopian Jewish religions goes 2,000 years before Ashkenazism. I believe.
I have heard of Ethiopian Jews, yeah.
And I've been able to connect with a few artists. Julie Martu, she's an amazing artist. So shout out to her. She just did BMW over in I think Italy, which was amazing. She designed a whole car. And so you get to see these values and just Judaism in her art and everything that she does. And it's not a race, it's not a color, it's not a look, it's not a yarmulke, it's not any of this, but it's about the individual. It's about the laws that you keep. Like my company, we keep something called Hatzlach law. What is Hatzlach law? Good question. So glad you asked. It means that if you hire somebody, you should make sure that they're getting paid what they're doing in their life. If they have 3 kids, you can't be paying them $15 an hour, because they're not going to be happy working for you. They're not going to be happy. You're making money. You're making money. You're going to give them $15 an hour? Like, it's nuts. And then also, are they also getting an education? What kind of bills do they have to pay? You have to take all this in consideration about the worker, and you have to provide them with what you can provide them. If you can't provide them with that, then you're not doing good business. Because guess what? If you do bad business, it will fall on you each and every time. It's just a matter of time. Because let me tell you what we're seeing with Adams and Trump. Love them. They're both great. I'm sure they're great. They made it, I guess. So, but everything comes to the light. Everything in the end will come to the light, no matter what. And that's what it is. Yeah. And that's why you have to be honest. You have to be just. You have to make sure people get paid what they deserve to get paid, or just don't work with them at all. But don't waste nobody's time, and don't waste nobody's energy, because listen, you don't know that everything comes back. Karma is a real thing. Whether you're Jewish, whatever you are, karma is real. I've seen it. I've seen it. Okay. Even when you have the turnstile, you got to pay. Unless, if you just don't have it and you need to get from A to B, Hashem is going to understand. Trust me. Right. But now, let's say you got $100 in your pocket. You need to pay that fee. It is what it is.
That's fair. Yeah, I know some people that do, and some people that don't, but it's all good though. But I love the energy right here. I love you know,
Thank
how
you.
your New York style is coming out. But
Thank
I
you.
just want
Native
to
New
return to
Yorker.
the. I always want to return to the.
Brooklyn. Boop,
Hell
boop,
yeah,
boop.
that's right. Once again, shout out to Fort Greene. I used to hang out there a couple times.
Thank
I
you.
like the people out
Thank
there.
you.
But they're you know, back to the interview right quick. The question about what you've achieved, right? The company.
Yes.
You know, it sounds actually fun as hell. I actually looking for maybe maybe I could work with that company. We'll see, right? I
Yo,
also have a large
you know
network.
what? I just gotta tell you, we have a few events coming up. It would be amazing if you could come along, man. We're definitely looking for some production.
We're gonna talk further after this.
Definitely.
Yeah. Anyways,
Definitely.
let's get to the rest of the interview now.
Yes.
The thing is that you know, now that we've covered the first half is about yourself, and then the next half is about policy. Now the thing is that I work with some allies, and I always ask questions about their issues first,
Great.
and then we'll freestyle about our own thing. So I appreciate you getting to these right here. Now the first thing that I'm going to ask you about, there's a place called Fulton Chelsea. It's actually a public housing district on the, you know, in Chelsea, right, the west side of Manhattan, and they're scheduled for demolition. Now the thing is that this is going to displace people who are elderly, disabled, veterans, right, some of our most vulnerable, and they say that they're going to relocate these people, but there's been a history of failure, and these people, honestly, right, a lot of them don't want to see their homes demolished. They're trying to say that, right, it's very wasteful to just destroy something and build something new, like at the they can repair it. But the reason why they're doing this is because, honestly, I used to be an activist way back, right, in the Obama era. I'm old as hell, and the thing is, back then they say we were going to end public housing as we know it. So, right, this is very. Now, the thing is that it's not easy to do something like this, right? Because politically, it would be very controversial. So how do they justify this? Because they said that the people who's living there would have the right to own the apartment. Okay? Now, we were told a second fight would arrive, and that fight is today. Here's the situation, right? Yeah? These people, the fact that they could own that apartment is worth over $1 million easy. Okay? Think about it. Other people in the community, they own a brownstone, right? Yeah? And that brownstone went like and raised in price by $1 million, right? These people in public housing has also lived in the community, and when their prices of the value of their property went up, they're supposed to be the beneficiaries. So check out how sick this is, right? Yeah. In order to prevent them from actually collecting on that money, they're destroying the apartments because this will destroy the history of tenancy. And if the apartment no longer exists, no one gets to own it. So now someone else can build a new one and take over the new property by destroying the old property. It's very so anyways, thanks for explaining that, but you could look that up further, right? Yeah, but at least go ahead.
I've done my research.
Oh,
Fun fact about the Fulton Chelsea houses.
Go ahead.
And Hashem, you know, he's so amazing. And for you, God, he's great. He's amazing. And there was a shot, I don't know if anybody remember HBO's How to Make It in America. And it was when it first came on and played that Aloe Black song. I need $1, dollar is what I need. Hey, hey. So one of the shots, Luis Guzman is in that show. We have some great, and Luis Guzman, amazing. We had some really great people in this movie, in this series, excuse me. And one of the shots, they show the Fulton Chelsea houses. I believe it's next to the Williamsburg Bridge or something like that. Or I'm not sure.
It's on the west side, so Fulton Chelsea is, you know, the bridges are on the east side, right? Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Maybe Midtown Tunnel going to the west side.
Yeah. Maybe that. But there was basically the shot of over there, and anyways, you just got to see the project system there in Manhattan, in such a big glittery city where they have housing, public housing, you know, and the low income and the super rich have to use the same infrastructures, walk on the same street kind of thing. And when I seen it, they had this one shot where the guy bought a new stove in his housing project building, and he felt so accomplished. It changed his life. He had people over. He threw a big party in the housing projects, had all these models come through. It was lit, man.
Wow.
And when I saw that, give people the choice of owning these New York City Housing Authority apartments. Why? Because they're gonna do something what we call New York State model Excelsior. What does that mean? It's Latin for ever moving upward. Something our city has done since the start of time, even when the British was going to take over and all of these people. New Yorkers said, forget about that. Listen, I just want to live in peace. I want my own piece of the pie, and I want it here in New York City. I don't want to go nowhere. I don't know anywhere else, okay? But by the way, it's very difficult. You can make it here. You can make it anywhere. That means it's difficult to live here. And this is one of the challenges that we're dealing with as New Yorkers. If you give them the chance to own it, and not just own it, give them the resources about home ownership, okay? Let them know how it works, what they can do with the equity of it, right? Because with equity, they could possibly move out, sell it again. Let's renovate it. Let's renovate it. Why is it that New York City Housing Authority, this funding came from the federal government years ago, way before I was born. And so now we're basically going to demolish this infrastructure. By the way, it's very good infrastructure. It holds up well during natural disasters. We got to see that during Sandy with the housing projects and Far Rockaway, because all New Yorkers said, what? At least the projects were still standing. Okay, still standing.
Oh my goodness, yeah,
so
I love it.
This is amazing infrastructure,
that's right.
And you're gonna waste our federal tax dollars. So once you start wasting our federal tax dollars, you'll start keep on wasting, and then you're gonna put rich people, you demolish, put a rich big house there, and give them all the tax breaks.
I'm gonna love it when you speak at Chelsea. We're gonna be there live on Tuesday.
Oh, I'm gonna be there.
That video is
coming out.
Yeah.
Square.
Yo, you're definitely going to be one of the speakers. Definitely. You got to definitely.
Thank you. I come from the project, so I already know what it is. I know how it is. You know what I'm saying? And
I appreciate that. Yo, they're going to love you. Hopefully they come out and vote. I'm sorry to say that out of my coalition, okay? I love you guys to death, but I'm going to be real with you, and it hurts me to say this so bad. The public housing group out of all of my coalition is the weakest as in terms of electoral results. They lost their election by the widest margin out of all city contested races, and they're facing imminent eviction. This is ridiculous, yeah. And I'm still rooting for them. I'm still doing stuff for them, but I'm really dead serious. Like, out of my whole team, they're dead last. I'm sorry, yeah. Okay, let me move on to this next crew.
No worries.
They're actually one of the best, I'm going to tell you, right? Yeah, they're actually the best, actually, up there. There's a couple other competitors. One of the best, wrongfully incarcerated. Now, the thing is that Nolan Farrell actually has a letter from the Conviction Integrity Unit that says that the person that they said who co-committed the crime with him was in jail at the time that the actual crime occurred. So it's impossible for him to be the witness. Actually, they found jailhouse defendants all the time to implicate people for wrongful incarcerations. This was a known tactic. And the thing is that so if he has a letter from the Conviction Integrity Unit that admits that the evidence used against him was faulty, why hasn't he been exonerated? Because so the thing is that Melinda Katz is the Queen's DA, but underneath her, there's a guy named John Castellano, who was, by the way, subpoenaed. I can show it on the screen, by the way, if you want to see.
Please.
Yeah.
People need to
look.
See this.
Yeah. Okay. So the thing is that this is crazy. Okay. So Queens.
By the way, I was able to see this story, and
okay.
And I also have a story that kind of similar that personally happened to me.
Really, that's wild. Yeah,
get into that. I told my mom I wouldn't say anything, but I think it needs to be told.
Hey, look, you'll have a platform right here. So, if you want to have your issue addressed too, you can join my coalition. We're all in to get this stuff addressed. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And there's other male candidates, right? I'm not a gatekeeper, man. Like I give you my direct contact for anybody in my coalition. You can cook up whatever you want anytime you want. You know what I mean? Anyway, so prosecutorial misconduct lawsuits prompt depositions of acting Queens DA top prosecutors. Right here, 3 lawsuits who were wrongfully convicted in Queens claimed the DA implemented an office policy that was indifferent to misconduct and rewarded prosecutors for winning cases. They engaged in a measure called the Chinese Wall that resulted in failures to disclose evidence or potentially exculpatory information to defense attorneys. There was also a recent, it's behind a paywall now, but there was a federal judge found Letitia James and Melinda Katz guilty of covering up for prosecutorial abuses. Like, this is not just me saying this, okay? There's news reports. So anyways, back to the issue. So the thing is that
that's a lot.
John Castellano, who's implicated in that very article right there. You guys can look it up yourself. John Castellano. He actually is a professor of a lot of law schools and stuff. And because he's the one who actually was responsible for putting, Nolan Farrell wrongfully in prison for 10 years of his life. Okay. They're
Mhm.
protecting him. They don't want anything to happen because they don't want a scandal to go down on their watch. So there's
Yeah.
already been so many people go down for the mayor, right? Like they don't want to have another scandal. The mayor's not guilty for this, by the way, right? The DAs had their own crooked crap going on. You could look up John Ryan. You saw in the paper, it was a known problem they had. You get what I mean? This is
Yeah.
a highly known problem. So anyways, would you support the exoneration of Nolan Farrell?
Absolutely. I
Thank
did some research on this, and it's on our wrongfully incarcerated, right? We have that prosecutorial misconduct lawsuits, right? Where we have these
Yeah.
top executives that implemented a ruling or a protocol, whatever you want to call it. They implemented rewarding prosecutors, right? This kind of, let me tell you, this sounds like car dealership kind of rule. Sell the most cars and you're going to get a reward. No, you're telling me the more people who are being prosecuted, right? And most of the time, these people are innocent, which sucks. So now you're putting a reward on it, which means people are just going to go through evidence. They're not going to really look and analyze it because you're analyzing somebody's life. You're about to change somebody's life. You're about to change so many people's lives. And I think this reward is absolutely nuts. And it shows where you see capitalism is not doing us good in that certain particular scenario, right? And then we have our conviction integrity unit. Right. And again, we talked about Democrats passing paper from paper. I'm pretty sure the CIU is also influenced by the Democratic Party. But I do see they're working on that conviction rate. But are they doing the best that they can? Obviously not, because it would have been dealt with. So we see bad procedures that need to be reformed and improved. OK, and we could literally curb wrongfully accused and incarcerated while improving the New York City local justice system, right? So with these people who are wrongfully convicted, we need to make sure we get an expedited vacated order as soon as possible. And they also need referral to resources to employment and legal tools for representation. Hey, guess what? You want to work at Adventure Air Holdings. I see on your background check attempted murder. Whether or not you got exonerated or not, odds are I ain't gonna take a chance. So we gotta think about that, because ain't nobody gonna attempt to murder. Guy might fucking kill me. I'm sorry, my language. Oh my goodness, ma. All right, I'm sorry. So I just get crazy about this. So we need to support the wrongful convictions by resources, financial restitution, of course, for time served, and support resources. We need to make sure we invest and rewire our policies. And we need to retrain those prosecutors, because they fell on bad behaviors. They were being taught these bad behaviors. And it's not easy to break bad behaviors.
New York City is one of the most competitive places in the nation. It's one of the #1 markets in the nation. And unfortunately, these prosecutors, it's a big time job to be like in the largest city in the nation. And they get into this competition where they got to have these really, really superhuman, right, prosecution numbers, because they got to be some big success. And we set them up right into an unnatural environment where they have to like engage in this kind of behavior for their job. Like, it's really sad. So
yeah, but they're also letting out prisoners.
Like this is too much. Yeah,
people who actually committed crimes where the evidence is there. We see it. And it's making New York unsafe too.
For every innocent person in prison, right? Yeah, there's something that Red Keith started saying. And there's also like I think Zoltan and Myra said it first, right? From that, what I heard, for every innocent person locked up, there's a guilty person out there still committing crime. And some of these people have been known to. So, anyways, just to move on to the next one, right? Yeah, and you already talked about compensation, so thank you, because that's another thing that my crew looks for. So, you're already ahead of the ball on that. I love your preparedness. Very cool, man.
Thank you.
All right, no doubt. You're killing it, bro. Like, I wouldn't give it to you if you don't deserve it. All right, so let's move on to the next one, right? Yeah. So another group that I work with is people with disabilities. And the thing is, people with disabilities, actually the Helen
Keller,
they're
not represented. That's one of the biggest problems.
Yeah. The thing is that they do not have authentic representation, right? People that are not disabled are making decisions for them. And it's okay sometimes, but not all the time, right? So would you be for the authentic representation of disabled people and, policy making and enforcement?
Let me just tell you, This happened months ago. So with going to Vaughan College, I minored for some time in emergency management, where I studied emergency management procedures, especially with Sandy that hit us, and all this extra stuff that's happening with global warming at this point in time. And, you know, we're going to see rise in floods happen, unfortunately, especially with my research and everything like that. It's looking pretty crazy. And but one thing that I seen that happen here in the Rockaways, I live in Bell Harbor, is that we went through these storms, and you know, people were being evacuated. Imagine the people who can't hear, who can't see, and are basically immobilized, and there's something going on outside. And a lot of these people, they're kind of like, I don't want to bother nobody. I don't want to bother anybody. It's very difficult to rescue these people from when we have catastrophe happen. And I think when it comes to emergency management, we need to make sure that we also train our specialists on how to help those who are immobilized or can't hear or see. Can you imagine that in a fire, a person who can't hear or see who's stuck in a building?
Do you say you're in Far Rockaway?
Yes, I'm in Bell Harbor.
Okay, so like I don't know where Bell Harbor is, but just so you know, I do work with the homeless community, and right now there's actually a large. What you're saying is absolutely true regarding the flooding, but you know, I don't know if you know about this, but there's actually a large. They're sending a lot of the people from the homeless shelters directly to Far Rockaway. It's a huge site, offloading site for people from. And the thing is that some of these people have disabilities. A lot of them do, but they're really pushing that community into this situation, and really the people who are poor upon the front lines for disaster. It's really sad. And people.
One thing I do want to say is that
expensive. I'm sorry. Last thing is there's also really expensive real estate down there too, though. I know that there's some of those homes are like $5,000, $10,000 a month. Yeah.
Yeah, let me tell you. And what we've seen on the beaches, we have the United States Marine. I'm not sure which agency from the United States, but it's the Army, I believe, who built a big basin up on the beach. You'll notice it. You get the 116th, and there's basically bunch of concrete underneath the sand that we didn't notice. So that kind of helps our flood waters. It's amazing. It's basically a basin. They did those people did such a great job. And I'm right down the block from the beach. I literally moved here in this neighborhood to be able to monitor the flood waters. I don't care. Listen, once it starts happening, I want to monitor it. I want to see what's happening. I go out a lot on the beach, and I like to just see how the water is. I saw dolphins, whales jumping. New York City, whales jumping up in the air, dolphins. I'm like, oh my gosh. And, you know, unfortunately, it's due to our warming waters, and also mostly to our clean waters. The waters haven't been this clean since the Civil War period. And I won't get started on the Gowanus Canal, which is, you jump in there, you know, kiss your butt goodbye. So nasty.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, sorry to Far Rockaway, just want to shout that out, but you know, I'm just concerned about, like, you know, that community. But just to finish off with the disabilities, right? I just want to make sure that my allies get, because they're all timestamped and stuff. The disabilities, right? Would you help them to get authentic representation in government and policy and enforcement?
Oh, they need it. Okay. They absolutely need representation, and that's when we need to really speak to those. We need people to get out there and ask, what problems are you going through? Each and every person, no matter how gone you may think they are, because deep down inside they have a heart, they're beating. They're lovely people. They're amazing people. And I work with a lot of programs with disabled people, and it's like people want to be helped. People just want what everybody else is getting, and to be not to be able to use their legs or whatever your disability may be, including mental, is you need as much representation as everyone else, because once we get that representation, we know truly how that community is feeling, how we can improve that community. Look at the subway trains. We need more elevators. We need, and this is why people have to pay their fares, so we can get the disabled people on board too. And these elevators aren't cheap; they're expensive, and people, more than ever, our disabled community needs representation. And listen, I become mayor. I promise you, that's what you'll get. You'll definitely get representation for the disabled community. I write so much about it, so I'm so excited. I got a billion ideas. I'm like, I already just tell you, but I'm gonna stick to the questions.
One place that's under fire right now is actually this place called Helen Keller Institute. They're actually, I think the first deafblind graduate from Harvard Law School actually also implicated them, along with my fellow advocate, Mark Safman. He's a disabilities advocate, and he also does consulting for to help people get their websites, disabilities compliant. So, there's different, certifications and stuff like that, but whatever, right? Yeah.
I'm very familiar. I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, disability is the second largest minority voting bloc in the nation, right? Yeah, so they're a big potential voting bloc. Let's take a look at another group right here. The thing is that one of my person that I work with, her name is Corey Edens. We already have we have an agreement from 3 separate presidential candidates, as well as several mayoral candidates at this point, to support a meeting for us and CUNY Chancellor and also the CUNY College President on issues of abuse of students in various ways. There's also been, excessive compensation for the chancellor. That they make over $700,000 a year for a public institution. That's kind of a lot. And also, actually, that's like what if there's 365 days a year, right? Yeah.
Yes.
That's about like $2,000 every single day, Sunday through Saturday, right? So today, $2,000, tomorrow, $2,000, every day, $2,000 for what, right? Even on weekends and holidays. Like, really? Okay. Anyways, just it's obvious overcompensation. All right, let's go to the so the thing is that we're trying to address this abuse, and we're trying to get a meeting with. Would you support us getting a meeting with the chancellor, a public meeting with the CUNY chancellor and the college president?
I would love that. I actually texted you on that. Just being a college student, going to Bond College. I was just in CUNY not too long ago, and I'm speaking to a few of the students there, and even one of the staff members. And I don't think they really have faith in the CUNY system, just because of the things that are happening. This education corruption, right? The missing state funds and the mishandling of these funds and all these biased contracts. So wait, you're telling me you don't care about the education they're going to get and how they're going to get it and how we're going to make sure they get it in their head and they're able to use it for real world situations? No. We're worried on getting it with Mike. Mike has a good program. Why does Mike have a good program? Mike has a good program because you say so and you like him, and there's something weird with you two going on. And that's why I call them biased contracts. We see them everywhere. We see them with Mayor Adams. I'm sorry. But we see them with Mayor Adams. I ain't going to just hire somebody because you're my friend. I want the best for New York. We need the best for our students. Why? Because they're going to have to pay money. And even if they're not, you're wasting their time. What are you doing? And then people are like, well, I don't understand how society is so messed up because of the CUNY and the biased bullshit contracts you're giving them. I'm sorry for cursing again.
No, it's fine. Yeah, like you should be mad. Like this is kind of messed up right here. You know,
incompetent teachers, incompetent principals, misappropriating funds on silly things. I heard vacations,
parties, and
trips to the Caribbean. What are you learning?
Scuba diving. Yeah.
It's crazy. But let me hold you. Venture Air Holdings, we have an internship program, right? Where we talk to, if we're going to take a trip, let's take a trip to a country that's innovative and we can figure it out, learn from them a little bit, and bring them here. Where we're sitting on a beach doing cocaine. Addiction is an addiction. Listen, we all go through it. Not all of us, but some of us. Right. And to put that in your work and to
and honestly, there's vulnerable students, right? Yeah,
of course,
actually, trying to build a career, and they're around these individuals.
Programs. Yeah,
it's this Puff Daddy, like Harvey, Jeff Epstein type stuff, right? Yeah, like it's really sad. But let's get back to the issue at hand here. So right, once again, on February 2nd, we're actually, I believe, the first day of school for Hunter College and NYU in Columbia, I think is like around January 26th. So the following weekend, right, that weekend, the first weekend of school, I think Thursday, Friday, like they're starting classes. So that weekend, we're going to actually have a discussion panel with students, and hopefully they can learn about your campaign. I think you might be a big hit with college age students.
Absolutely.
Because you're a lot closer and understand, right, their perspective in a lot of ways that, the older people can't. You know what I mean? So that might be a really way for you. Honestly, this generation needs a new voice and a new hero, straight up. Like, y'all
We
need to stop being passive
do.
about your stuff. You'll need to start taking leadership positions. And
Yeah.
stop accepting what they're giving you because it's bullshit. You know what I mean? Straight up.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
One of my many reasons for voting, sorry to interrupt.
No, I love what you're doing. Go ahead. Yeah.
Is and this is to all of my New Yorkers, no matter what age you are. I was in special ed for some time, probably about a month or two back in school for classics. I always make a joke about it. And I remember being in the special ed class, and I'm helping everybody, every group with that project. I'm like, I want to be a part of this. I want to be a part of that. I always want to be a part of everything. And I didn't believe in myself enough to just go straight to pilot school. I'm like, I'm going to become a flight attendant. You know, went there, got accepted. And I said, no, I think I should just go to school for being a pilot. Then I went to Finland to do commercials for Finnair, actually. And I said, dang, I was able to become a flight attendant. I was able to do commercials for an airline. I said, well, shoot, I'm going to just go ahead and become a pilot, because I proved to myself, hey, I believe I can do it. I started to do the math. I'm getting high grades. All of this, I'm flying planes. I remember my ex-girlfriend at the time was in the back of the airplane with me, and she said to me, "Oh my God, he really landed this." I said, "Damn, baby, you ain't believe in me." And truth is, at one point, I didn't believe in myself until I was able to see what I was able to do, and that's another way how I got in here to run for mayor. And I think the same thing's gonna happen again, and I'm gonna really be like, wow. And that's when we see that happen, we need students who are gonna believe in themselves, because the time and time again, oh, you're in special ed, no, not so good. Look at Einstein, you know, look at all these people. Sometimes we do need our kids to need extra help, and we need to invest in our special education as well, IEPs and all that, individualized education plan and stuff like that. And we need the parents to be involved too. Sometimes it's not a mental issue. Sometimes it's an at-home issue. And that's why we need the counseling in school for our students more than ever, especially with COVID.
You know, we might actually have, that's actually a good idea. We probably should have a separate education panel, not necessarily just the college stuff, but maybe, because that's a whole another thing.
Mm-hmm.
I do think the curriculum actually and other things like that are actually do deserve a separate discussion panel. So we'll see who set that up. Interesting. All right. So let's move on to my next, ally right here, Christopher Leon Johnson, the actually most prolific reporter in New York City history, I believe. I asked him, what do you think is a good topic to bring up to the candidates? And he said e-bike regulations. What do you think about that whole thing?
Whew. E-bikes, right?
Okay.
I think there's a few different ways we can go, right? We can talk about how we're going to ban it and how we're going to get rid of it. But truth is, a lot of people rely on these as modes of transportation to get around and avoid the scary, dangerous subway. A lot of people are using this for work, things like this. And it's all about just being smart and just knowing how to do things, and educational resources, right? And just kind of telling these moped people, you got to be a little more careful. Maybe having more charging stations in the city where people can just put their bike while they're at work, working that 8-hour shift. Because I thought about that so many times. I'm an e-biker. Well, not an e-biker. I have gas. I'm sorry. And my Honda Navi, I love her. She's amazing. She gets around the city. But now I'm kind of scared. I don't want to drive. The streets are rough. So, I mean, there's so many aspects of it. There's safety, people getting hurt, people riding on the sidewalks. And
I think one of also the big concerns is like the fires.
The fires, of course. So, I mean, again, it's about being smart. I mean, I've had my mom tell me with my electric scooter, she's like, unplug that, please. You know what I'm saying? So it's about, government shouldn't have to hold our hand for every single thing, because you're going to break your battery anyway, because you're putting so much power in it, then it's not able to really work as it used to. It's not efficient enough, just like our New York City government. You don't want your e-bike to become a New York City, you know what I'm saying, of what it is right now. You want to make sure you look at it. You make sure you're good. Okay, don't fall asleep while charging it. And, I mean, it's just about people being smarter. We can ban it, but that's going to put a lot of people out of work. They're not going to be able to make money. They're not going to be able to get from point A to point B. And then we're going to overcrowd our subway system. maybe one thing I think we need to do is, and I thought about it, make a bike lane highway that's regulated, right? Where
Well,
people
then,
can
like,
get.
like, like, even what is an e-bike? You know what I mean? Like, you got people with the motorized scooters, you got those one-wheel things. Like, is that an e-bike? Is it not an e-bike? Like,
Yeah.
what is an e-bike even? Is
What
it
is
is
an
a scooter an
e-bike?
e-bike?
Great.
Like, what is an e-bike? Like, I don't even know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
What is an e-bike?
I think New Yorkers just really have to just everything shouldn't you shouldn't need your hand held. With the help and resources, yes. With health, yes. With food and affordability, yes. But a charger and you charging your bike, I'm sorry, that's where I have to draw the line and say that's not for us as government to get involved in. Your house burned down, people are gonna die. What are you doing? You're gonna get hurt. You're gonna get hurt so much more because of the trauma behind it. It's almost like when we had people who would leave their stoves on to warm their apartments, and you had to call the
Could be
people
user
dying
error. Could be
of the
user
carbon
error.
monoxide. What are we gonna take the stoves out, or are we gonna make them all electric? You
Well,
know what I'm saying?
there might be some way to make the stove safer. I don't know. There might be some regulations. I don't know, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean there is.
Maybe.
They have little boards and monitors on them. Actually, now that I just learned about from my landlord. So
Okay.
there's a bunch of things. But
Interesting.
New Yorkers also have to make sure. Okay, if we're selling e-bikes, people are selling e-bikes. We need to make sure that they're given the resources to say, hey, don't charge it too much, and we need to make sure that these dealerships are doing that because these dealerships aren't even giving them insurance. That's another story. Won't get into that.
Yeah, that's
Got people getting hurt and they're not able. They
because
got to
scared
go to
people
work.
gonna die. What are they selling? Okay, anyways, yes. So, yikes. Okay, let's move on to the next one over here.
Yeah.
Just Brooklyn, Chinatown right now. There's a situation going on where they have actually the largest mobilization of Asian Americans in New York City history, and actually this district is actually one of the only ones to turn from Democrat to Republican, and it's the first Asian American district in New York City history. And this issue was caused by the building of a homeless shelter in Brooklyn, Chinatown. Now, the thing is that Manhattan, Chinatown has 8 shelters built in it. And look, I've been homeless at the age of 16. I was homeless several times.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is that, look, taking people who are homeless and you're putting them where? Like in the middle of a bunch of Chinese people? These people don't speak English. Like, what are they? How are they going to give these people a job? Are they going to sell them things? Even like they can't even speak with regular people on the street. Like I try to speak with them. That's why you don't really see me working with them. Not because I don't like them, but they don't speak English and I don't speak Chinese. Like this is like really a thing. Like, and it's
this is in Bensonhurst, right?
Yeah. And then you're making it right. I'm saying like, I am sympathetic to the people who are homeless, but it's not a good situation for them straight up and down. The undesirables are being lumped together and it's just not the right thing to do. So I'm sorry, that's just my personal take, but
yes, I agree.
There's also a lot of misuse in spending. There's people in bunk beds. Like you see like this, you see like the width of this table here, there would be like 2 bunk beds here, like one over here, or that's how close they are together, right? Yeah. And then each bed, right, downstairs and upstairs, they're charging $7,000. They're charging the government $7,000 per bed per month.
Oh my god!
Yeah. Oh, what? Exactly. This is insane, right? So 2 beds here, that's $28,000
be serious
per month. Yo,
I'm
dead serious. This is a problem. Yeah, okay, so yikes, the poor
what
people
are the
are not getting the money.
possibilities we can do with that money and do something bigger and better and not in communities that are already going through.
Yeah. So thanks for supporting that community. I'm sure they'll be glad to
I'm
hear
not a professional politician. I already said that. That really gets me like, dang. Wow. I didn't know that part.
There's other abuses. They're big time. There's other things I could tell you about that are even crazier. But some of those are federal level, right? The city has a certain level of corruption and the state has another level and the federals have another level of corruption. So yeah, this is anyway. Yes.
Again, I'm gonna say it again. Biased contracts. Who got that price? We need people to look over. That's why I'm saying Democrats are exchanging paperwork with the Democrats, and it's not enough transparency there. And within saying that, why not a community that is more closer to things that can help them? Bensonhurst. Bensonhurst is really not really going to be the best community to put homeless shelters, right? What made them feel like they should put? I really want to know because we have to think about the logistics of how they're going to travel around.
Okay. Well, the thing is that, right. Also, I think that I don't think it's bad for there to be a homeless shelter there, but it should host people from that community, right? If there's people in that community, Chinese people who are homeless and stuff like that, right? Let them take care of their own community. But the thing is that, right? There's a lot of I'm not trying to blame the migrants either, right? I really have a lot of love for migrants. I know a lot of people, Republicans don't, but
Yes.
I just do. Like I lived around them my whole life. Like I was homeless and stuff. Like I was with them. Anyways, yeah. But they're gonna be also there. And look, I've been in the homeless shelters. Like the thing is that, right? Not everybody there's bad. Like I know some people who are really amazing, cool people, but there's a lot of people who come out of prison who can't really like and it's right next to a school and stuff. I just like personally just haven't been around that. Like I just don't really recommend that. And I'm saying like I'm against that, but once again, if it's people from the community, other Chinese people, right, then there's they can at least communicate with the guy, you know what I mean? But you have people that can't speak, English. This guy's bugging out, it's like what it's not good. Yeah, it's just not good for anybody. It's not good for them or the Chinese community. You get what I'm saying?
And there's not enough educational resources for both parties. Even with getting the community more so together to the understanding of it. We know that there is so much hate going against the Asian community. I just kind of want to go on in, and I remember when they said on the news, we have such a huge Asian community, and this was kind of like during COVID, if I remember correctly. And when I heard that, I was working on Casino Boulevard. I was working at Charter Communications, right, as a repair tech over the phone, and amazing community that doesn't speak English, right? And some people could be like, oh, they're rude. No, they just don't speak English. They're nervous themselves to talk to you just as much as you're nervous to talk to them. And, a lot of times we get it mixed up with racism, with this, oh, you're prejudiced, you don't like me. I'm nervous. I'm scared. I don't even know you. I don't know where you're from. I never really got the chance to really, but I promise you this. If we all sit down and have a conversation about everything we're going through, we're going through the similar things. And the government doesn't want that, because then truly the New Yorkers will rise together and they'll come up with the solutions together. We got to do this as together, not just this community and that community by themselves. Let's do it together. Let's all sit around and let's take charge of our city right now, because we will only have more hurt people, more people being traumatized, murdered, and all kinds of crazy things we're currently going through, when all we need is, I hate to say it, love. Government hates that word. We need understanding, peaceful talks, conversations. Okay. And we need to have that with our community leaders, and we need to sit everybody down together, and we need to work things out, because that Asian hate is not going to be accepted here at all. The anti-Semitism is not going to be accepted at all. And anyone who's going to xenophobia, anybody who's going to treat somebody wrong, even if they're a migrant, doesn't matter. People are here to work and for a better way of life, whether or not they're economic migrants. Okay? I love Finland. And I wanted to move there, and I wanted to live there. I wanted to move there. I wanted to live there, but I couldn't. There were rules in place. Listen, till this day, I wanted to do that. Now I don't. I'm running for mayor. But, and I ain't going to leave my city. I'm not going to go to China on a vacation that somebody bought for me. Okay? Through Finnair. I worked with Finnair. You think I'm going to take a ticket and go there? No, I got to take care of my city. Mayor Adams. Shout out to him. Shout out to Turkey Air. Whatever.
Actually, that was something I was going to exactly something I was going to mention earlier. Some of those other things I was talking about that is actually somewhat involved in city politics. There was a guy named Andy Yi Chen who's actually supported by Grace Meng, who's actually had a federal seat, but they were also running their friends for city council. I believe Sandra Ung, who's on city council, is also a friend of Grace Meng. And they were actually, Grace Meng was her chief of staff is Linda's son, who was recently implicated for ties to the CCP. So the thing is that there is some of that. There are people literally. That's, I think, what the mayor's in trouble. Like, we're actually going to have a maybe discussion panel on the criminal charges against the mayor to have other mayoral candidates talk about it. I'm sure y'all want to talk about it. But the thing is, I think that he got like paid trips to like Turkey and he got put up in 5-star hotels and stuff. That's exactly what happened, I believe. I think that there's some of that going on with China too. I think Diane Sayer, running for U.S. Senate, she took a trip to China. that is literally going on. New York City is the largest city in America with 8.5 million people. LA only has 4, Chicago has 2. We're bigger than 2 and 3 combined. Yeah. So it's we're a huge target for that type of business. Yeah. Anyway, sorry to keep
No, I love it. Keep talking.
Yeah. Okay,
And
so go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. No.
So the Brooklyn Chinatown community, I'm sure, will be happy to hear that you are for sensible solutions and community-based solutions, right? Their voice gets to be involved with that. So let's move on to the next then after that we'll freestyle a bit, right? Which is cool. But
yes.
Right now this other my partners come first, and one
of course
is the trans people. Now the thing is that we know that trans people face a lot of discrimination. They face discrimination in the job. They face discrimination in getting housing. Now the thing is that if these people often find themselves needing public housing because they are destitute, right, without a job, without housing, so they need to take advantage of government services. Now the thing is that this is a hypothetical question. Let's imagine that 10% of the people applying for public housing are trans, and then we see that only 1% of the people in public housing are trans. And we ask them, why do you think this is? And they say we're getting beat up, discriminated against, and all this other kind of thing. Now, there's no law saying that you can discriminate against trans people, but it's happening anyways. What would you do to assure people that, right, this community, whether you agree with their lifestyle or not, right? Yeah. What would you do to assure them fair access to government resources?
Name of my campaign is Valle, NYC, Innovating Your Future. And I wrote about this. LGBT access. Shout out to JQY. Shout out to the LGBT Center there on 13th Street in Manhattan. And so LGBT access to fair housing and government resources are so important and vital, especially feeling nervous as a trans person or an LGBT person to ask questions. Protection and safety for the community wherever they go, and the entire city, subways, everything, right? And what we really need, especially with affordable housing discrimination, is we need a task force, a housing task force discrimination unit, right? Because anybody can say anything. He discriminated against me because I'm this and I'm that, right? Okay, fine. So what are we going to do? We're going to keep data on complaints to understand trends, behaviors, and of course, accountability. Bringing discrimination to a halt for New Yorkers, for all of them, because I know how that can feel to be discriminated against. Actually, for me to have gotten this apartment here, I had a very well-looking friend do all the meetings for me. I didn't do it. I was smart. Adventure Air Holdings was so intelligent. And that's truly how I got this apartment. It's Bell Harbor. And I got some push and pull over here. They were saying, oh, he's complaining. Mind you, I'm getting complaints. I'm getting complaints when I'm not even here. 5 days. And I got the data to prove I wasn't here. This is why I mentioned that. And I showed it to the super. I said, look at this. I was in the city. You see me smiling in the city at a restaurant like this, and I got a complaint at that time. So data is going to prove these people who are this discrimination, and we're going to see behaviors and trends. And once we catch on to the behaviors and trends, we're going to know right before you get there. We're going to be innovative. We're going to use innovative tools and technology to make sure we see right through the bullcrap. That's it.
There's a lot of evidence around. People pay attention, right? Yeah, that's
yeah, and you could just show them. Let me just show you. Boom, bap, bam. Let's release it to the public. Let's send to these landlords. Let's send it to them. Hey, listen, you do this, you're gonna be in trouble. They already tell them if you discriminate against voucher, whatever it may be, you're gonna be in trouble. But guess what? I've seen it personally happen to people, even myself.
So quick
and there's no accountability.
So quick question, because in this question, there's like a disguise, like some other questions inside of this question. So one of the ideas is that there's this idea of 10% and 1%. So how do you use the data to determine your approach or solution to this problem?
Good question. I haven't explored that much. But again, that's why I said with the behaviors and the trends that we may see, right? And the certain neighborhoods. So it's basically a catalyst of things. And if we could run a couple of scenarios, that would be great, and I can tell you how
Oh
we
yeah.
can do that.
Well, actually, I will run some scenarios by you, but just so you know, it's not. You shouldn't know everything. You know what I mean?
Thank you.
It's impossible. No one can know. So it's okay to. Everybody's gonna have their specialty.
Yeah.
And it's good that you are open to having discussions and so there's not. It's good that people can admit that some people just are good at making a soundbite that sounds good and they're just fake as hell with it. And honestly, I like the fact that you're a little bit more real with it. So don't be,
I'm a real New Yorker, baby.
That probably comes from owning your own business. So you know what I mean? Look, we all have a certain amount of like things that we're doing, but in that response, there's a certain element of realness that I really appreciate it. So either way,
I would like to say we can see let's say if we have a landlord who has 2 or 3 people who saying they feel like they had discrimination and they fit the profile of somebody who's trans, we got a problem and we are gonna deal with you hands on because we can't let it go. We can't let discrimination be okay in New York City. Are you out of your mind?
Okay, I've asked actually over 100 candidates this exact same question, and I've got to hear like a large number of responses, some of them better than others, right? And I feel like I'll tell you like what I feel like the best answers were myself just from hearing this. I answered the question because so many times. And the thing is that the problem is really you can't really legislate, right, these things because people are going to just do what they're going to do anyways. They're going to reinvent stuff or they're going to make something up. They're going to call it something else, right? But in the end, they're going to discriminate if they really don't want to like it, right? So you got to change the culture. So the fact of the matter is that the politics follow the culture. So the thing is that also there's an element of like, which I think you did address, right? The enforcement, right? That's got to also, right? That plays a role, right? Because there's some things you can't control, but there's some things you can. Right. So like, the task force is also, right, an independent body to do review. That's also something that's
third party.
Yeah, have you ever heard someone named Serpico?
No, I haven't.
Okay, let me show you on the screen right quick. This is actually interesting. You might want to watch this.
Please.
Yeah. You ever heard of someone named? Okay, Al Pacino is not really the most popular guy right now. Okay, but do you know who that is?
I love him.
You know who that is? You know,
he does the Tribeca Film Festival and all that good stuff every year.
Okay, so I'm gonna present my screen to you. Give me a second, okay? Okay. So here you can see Serpico. There's actually a movie where Al Pacino starred as him. Serpico. It's a true story, and Serpico is a 1973 biographical crime drama film. Which talks about Frank Serpico. Serpico struggled with corruption in NYPD during his 11 years of service and his work as a whistleblower that led to the investigation by the NAV Commission. If you're talking about like police accountability, and probably this is probably the most famous story of police accountability. Like you say the name Serpico to any cop, they should know that name, okay? Because they're literally taught about Serpico in the academy. So, anyways, he says that, right, his recommendation as terms of, he says the police cannot police themselves. And once again, like what you said before, as a task force, right? Really, besides the experts, I also hope that the victims and the people who's affected have a voice and can like be a part of the accountability as well, right? There's nothing wrong with experts being there, but the people who's actually affected need to be a part of. That's a lot of what my activism is about. But yeah, that's overall a good answer, yeah. And so I think that's just my response to that one. So anyways, let's get on. Now it's time for more of the freestyling session.
I want to mention this, by the way, and talking about corruption and the police. Well, we know sometimes we have particular targets, like they target black males in a project. One point in my life, I was working on a production the next day, Africana. And I did all my producing stuff, send everybody the emails to be there. I'm like, I can't wait. I'm going to be there. I'm getting there. I'm a young kid at the time. I'm young, just graduated high school, working on production. And boom, my apartment gets raided. Yeah. My apartment gets raided. I get punched in the face a few times while I'm laying in bed as a young kid. And they cut us a check or whatever, and they said, we're sorry, it was a mistake. It was a mistake. It was a mistake. But I remember I had a dog who passed away, and I had all of their hair bundled up, wrapped in a little thing in my dresser. And the cop goes through. He said, we got it. He said, we got it. We got it. He said, what the is this dog here? And cursed my family out, talked to us nasty. Funny thing, NYPD 75 precinct, we're gonna let it be known. We found a bullet in the window. So the police, when they entered the apartment, they discharged the bullet. This is an actual case that happened with me. Okay, dig deep. And could have killed my mom.
Wow. You know, I'm
Could have
sorry.
killed my mom, could have murdered my mom. So listen, we're gonna have New Yorkers, this is real. This is real. You could get Adams, you could get any of the people who are driving in luxury vehicles. But I think a real New Yorker is going to be the one that's going to make this city a shining city again. And a city with great agencies that are going to actually do what's needed and not have a bunch of biased contracts with my friend. Hey, friend, you want to come on, are you crazy? Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, I understand why that happens too. I mean, like, you know, you're right. It's about it's unfortunate about the friend thing, but you know, it happens a lot. Yeah, I see it from both angles. Anyway, sorry about that.
Hey,
Anyway,
listen,
yeah.
I get to know you more. I would have you as the public activist of New York City.
You know,
I'm
like some people, yeah, you know, they're gonna show up
but it
on
makes
time.
sense.
You know, yeah. Like sometimes the devil, you know. I've made both decisions, right? Yeah, but just because someone has a degree, it's not always an qualifier, right? Yeah, there's also someone's work ethic, and nowadays we could talk about the value of a degree and all that stuff. But to tell you the truth, it sounds like you're already someone who does employ people. You employ people?
Yeah, about one or two every now and then.
Hey, look, I've employed people too, and look, you tell me what you think, right? Yeah.
Yes.
So the thing is that I owned a game store, things like this, right? Yeah.
Nice.
And when people came in, actually some of the worst interviews that I had, right? Well, I actually said some real stories, but some of the worst ones were with college kids, right, who just graduated. The thing is that I would ask them straight up, I was like, what do you think is the most profitable part of this business? Right? What do you want to spend your time on? Right? Yeah. What do you know about this business? What do you think is the least productive? You know, or what do you think costs this business money? What do you think is the most you know, and they didn't answer any of the questions. They couldn't really, they hadn't thought about it at all. Right? Yeah. What they said was, I have a college degree. I was like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Like, I'm running a store about this business, right? Yeah. And if you can't understand this business, right? Like, why do I give a shit about it? I really don't. And I'm really not happy with your answer at all. Like, I want you really to get the fuck out. You know what I mean? Really.
That's what
I'm not trying to be a dick or
to
anything, but
say.
this is a business about selling this merchandise. You got to and if you don't understand that, right, you have no business here. So maybe like you, it sounds like you have your own business and like not trying to be a dick or anything, but it really, you know, that's just what it came down to. So, you know what I mean?
I love it. I love how you talked about that. We have an expo coming up. I have a project I'm working on called Made in Finland. It's made in anywhere, actually. And we have some Finnish companies coming here to New York. Some really excellent high-tech companies coming here to New York. I mean, I'm not going to talk to you about trash, but let's talk about it. Like, there's so much we can do with AI and figuring out the routes that we need to get to first. You know, whatever garbage system was put around every day, I walk down 116 and all the garbage cans are knocking over because somebody said, oh, I think this is a cool garbage can. One side is recycled and one is not. They don't even use it like that. They just put one garbage bag in that whole damn thing because you didn't do the training while you taught them how to do those garbage cans. And why do they keep falling over? I'm just saying. But I think we need really innovative and sustainable ideas. Let's listen. If we're going to take people from other countries and everything, there are people in other countries right now who are working damn hard to learn English and to learn all about New York and would love to be here and would benefit the city of New York so greatly. And that's what we need here in New York. We don't really need I mean, listen, it's very hard to say, but we really need a lot of people who are high tech, who have great educations, and they want to come to New York City to work to make it possible for all New Yorkers, not just for them. Not just I want to live in a city, I want to be rich and blah blah blah. I want to live like a New Yorker. You're not going to live like a New Yorker. You will never live like a true New Yorker because you. It's like you get here and you're the monopoly man. There's no working up to it like the other New Yorkers, and that's why New Yorkers don't feel like people care about them because somebody comes here with a lot of money. Boom, man, the biggest building, nicest building, they're getting the best treatment and everything. And what about our native New Yorkers?
You know, I'm if you see my channel, you see that I'm like a street artist, hang with all the street artists. So I'm living like kind of like on the other side of the tracks, like on another side of life, which is a little bit wild, but that's cool though. You know, I mean, I respect what you've achieved, and honestly, I think that you have I really think that you're an inspirational person for a lot of young people. I think they need to really learn, but they're not really given a political education. A lot of times, people think that school is worth. I'm sorry to keep whining
No.
about school, but people think that the degree is worth so much. But once again, you're taught how to make a line, right? I don't know if you learn calculus, but you're taught like y equals mx plus b. You're taught the slope of a line, right? And if that line is curved, you're gonna learn calculus, so you can really make sure that line goes in a positive direction. But right, yeah, that's what you're taught. But what you're not taught about, right? What about the quality of your food? Why does it look like it came out of a prison? And the fact of the matter is that, right? What's more important for your health and for your mental, right? Your mental development than the food that you're eating? Who do you talk to get the quality of the food improved? Oh, you don't know? What? You know what I mean? Like, you're not taught to benefit yourself. You're taught to make the boss rich. And I'm not saying that there's necessarily a wrong thing either, right? I mean, it's good to make the boss rich, but you need to also take care of your people. Have not been taught to take care of themselves. Yeah. So,
and I love that. We have also another company, Health Hub USA, which is basically an app where they're able to monitor their health. It's in contact with their doctor, their mental doctor, as well as psychologist or whatever. And they're able to really, like, let's say if somebody gets nervous on a train, well, the watch will see it, and they can use those coping skills, and the doctor or the psychologist, both of them, can see how they dealt with that situation. New medications, we can see how they're dealing with this new medication, or with new diagnosis, we can see how they're doing with this. What should and shouldn't they eat? And we can have articles onto that app that's monitoring their health, recommend what article is best for them in their situation with their new diagnosis, and really help the community out and excite them about cooking. I love to cook. I love to cook. Listen, while I was in Finland, shout out to Finlandia Caviar. I was able to learn the art of caviar and how to cook with it, and how great it was, and how great it tasted with this, and how great it tasted with that. People are not excited because they're so stressed. They're so in their head, and they don't know about it. It's the things you don't know, and then there's the things you don't know, and then there's the things that you don't know. And it's a lot of things that our normal New Yorkers don't know that they don't know. And once they find out about it, they're going to definitely excel. Excelsior, my favorite, ever moving upward. They're going to excel in health. They're going to excel in education. They're going to excel in everything. And what's going to happen? New York City is going to be better than ever. Oh, make New York City great again. Well, New York City is great. Don't get me wrong. But it has never been so great where it's everybody's great. You always have the ones who are doing this and doing that. No, let's make New York City better than ever for the New Yorkers and the tourists as well, and the people who come and visit, and the people who want to have a life here.
So, we're about to close up now, but I'm going to ask you, what do you think are the most critical issues for New York City, and how do you intend to address them?
Mental health. Mental health is number one for me. Mental health and education. And I think if we tackle mental health and education, I mean, everything else is going to change. It's all a domino effect. I was talking to my mother about this today. I said, man, it's all a domino effect. If we create a better mental health system by not just using biased contracts, and we're really analyzing, we're really taking the data down, we can make sure that we're changing these city agencies year by year, mayor by mayor, and each mayor is going to be giving, not taking, because we're taking the data and we're improving. Of course, we want to protect the data and people's information, but we want to improve this city. And we have so much technology, and that's why it's Valle NYC for innovating your future, because your future would definitely get better. We'll see education get better. Once education gets better, crime's going to go down. I know a lot about, thank God for the School for Classics. I know I've been in these shoes. I know how it works. I've been into the sense when you have to apply for the HRA. I've been in the sense of all these things because I've witnessed it firsthand. I got to see the other people who were coming too. A lot of the times in New York City, I like to take my own analysts, my own reports. I do that a lot, and I've done that over the years. And look, it's gotten me here. And it's about actually implementing what I'm saying I'm going to implement and doing my best. Listen, I've done a lot of great things, and with my resources, it's all about resources. I'll definitely be able to tackle each and every problem head on because I've been through it. I know how it feels. Okay. I take the subway with you. I'm not riding in some fancy car. I live in a nice studio apartment in the Rockaways, nice neighborhood. I love it. Shout out Bell Harbor. But I know how it feels, guys. And Von NYC for NYC, innovating your future.
Oh, just that's an interesting. Actually, the next question is: do you have a website? Do you have like social media? How can people find out more about your campaign? Is it Von NYC? What is it? Go ahead.
So right now, guys, we're working on getting the website going. I'm working on so many projects, and I'm so sorry. Kind of my bad. We're gonna have the website coming up soon. That's gonna be vondelvalle.com. See it right there. But right now, I need everybody pop those Instagrams out. Von NYC 2025. That's VON NYC 2025, baby. At me.
That's cool. We'll put the link in the comments and in the description.
Thank you. Thank you.
Cool. All right, definitely check that out, folks. And now that people have your Instagram, what do they have to look forward to in the future with you?
Well, you're going to see a lot of me. You're going to see me in your communities. You're going to see me at your board meetings. I'm going to be there. And I'm so glad for you having me. You really started. I wasn't even ready. I'm like, I'm not ready to go public. I'm working on this. I'm working on that. Oh, yeah. I don't know. It's like a lot of papers.
We got a lot of things coming up, man. We're about to go buck wild up in here. Yeah.
Yeah. I think we're meeting on the 19th as well.
We're meeting. Yeah. Actually, that's going to be on Tuesday. We're going to be at Fulham Chelsea Houses.
I'm ready for that. You're going to see me there.
Yeah. I think December 1st, we're starting a series every Sunday of discussion panels.
I'm ready.
We're going to start off with the wrongfully incarcerated Otis Johnson, the longest wrongfully incarcerated man in New York State history, Stephen Lee, who actually was carried on the work of Serpico and put me in contact. And also we may have other male candidates participating.
Absolutely.
And it will be, you'll be able to learn about their stories or talk about your own vision for change for the criminal justice system. Then I think the one that I'm really excited for you for is February 2nd. Like I said before, we're going to go to the schools right on opening weekend and then tell them about discussion panel. We're going to invite the students to be a part of it. And I think that with your youth, with your energy, I think that you have a certain salesmanship quality, which I think the kids will enjoy. You got to be a certain, this politics game is a certain amount, also entertainment. And you do have that personality. And, honestly, I think your message is fine, right? Yeah, I think your message is overall positive, and I enjoy it. And I think that we need more people to get involved, especially young people, to learn to actually try to take the reins of power and understand what it's all about now. I'm talking more with you offline about how I could help your campaign. But I'm excited about it. Thank you so much for being
I'm so excited. Thank you so much. DJ Elf, what you're doing is absolutely amazing. The Jewish community will call this a mitzvah. Such a big. And thank you so much for having me. New York, please strive to be the best. Be careful out there. Much love. Von NYC for NYC, innovating your future.
Check them out. That's right. Okay, I'm going to hit the end stream. Give me a second. Hold on while it finishes, and then we'll